Hi there, Colleen Adrian, and I want to talk with you today about how to support your child who gets mad when they lose a game, or if they're losing, who really struggles to tolerate losing a game. So maybe they just get angry after they've lost the game. Maybe they try to cheat or make up different rules as I go, trying to get a bit of an advantage in the game. Um, or maybe they're just really disappointed and sad, or don't want to play anymore when they're finished. And it can be really hard to see your child struggle with those big emotions. And especially if they say things like, oh, I'm terrible at it, or I'm not very good, or, I'm never going to be good at playing cards, or I'm never going to be good at, I always lose. I'm stupid, or whatever they might say about themselves. So if they're judging themselves and being hard on themselves, I think it's even harder. And most of the time when I hear this type of thing from parents, what they say to me is, then when I try to say something to help them to feel better, then they get even more upset. So it's distressing for parents to see their child so upset and to not be able to not know what to do or say to help them to feel better. So here's what's going on. Basically, your child is having a feeling that's bigger than they have capacity for. So if you think about capacity in terms of using a balloon analogy, um, if you have a balloon that will tolerate having so much air in it, and then all of a sudden when there's too much air, it pops, right? That's kind of what's going on. And we've all had that sometimes, right? As adults, maybe your disappointment feels really big, or maybe your irritation and your anger, all of a sudden they get to be too much in the moment and poof, right? It explodes and the energy has to go somewhere. So it goes outward. So the first thing to do always, regardless of the circumstances, is to really do your best to keep your own calm when your child is experiencing this, and acknowledge the feelings they're having with some empathy, right? So that might be saying something like, oh, it's really hard to lose. Like, I get it, right? Winning or losing never feels as good as winning, right? So just really empathizing and remembering what it feels like for you when you don't win. And, it's not a great feeling. Telling your child that they shouldn't be a poor loser, or telling them that they need to be a good loser, really just ends up denying their feelings and ends up leaving them feeling judged. So accepting, just maybe this is helpful, accepting their feelings and that they're feeling disappointed or angry or upset in the moment. That doesn't mean that you're accepting that they're always going to have difficulty losing. Okay. The best way to support them, the first thing to do is to just really be accepting of their feelings. Those are the feelings they're having right now, and that's the way it is. And if you have a hard time doing that, one of the things you can do a little bit later when you have a moment is to just notice what feeling comes up inside of you, or you can do it at that time if there's opportunity. But if you're busy dealing with your child, there might not be opportunity till later. Notice what's coming up inside of you. Are you feeling tempted to fix their feelings because it's hard for you to tolerate their disappointment or their anger, right? And sometimes we do that subconsciously. With regard to their feelings being bigger than they can tolerate, or bigger than they have capacity for, the options then, if you think about it logically like that, are to either work on keeping the feelings smaller when possible, and work on building their capacity over time so that eventually they'll be able to tolerate bigger feelings. Okay. Yeah, let's just talk about strategies first. So keeping them smaller might mean letting them win early on, especially if they're new to the game and they're just developing their skill and they don't have very many skills in it yet, or they don't know all the rules. So just letting them win is a good short-term strategy. Eventually you want them to be able to tolerate losing, but at the beginning, that's okay. And eventually, as you help them to build capacity to tolerate bigger feelings, they'll be able to live with the disappointment. The tricky thing is that sometimes their sense of self or their self-esteem gets kind of tangled up with that feeling of losing. and a little bit of shame or low self-worth feelings show up, right? And when that happens, it's especially intense feelings, and it's especially painful feelings. So this is pretty common. And if you think this might be going on, one of the things you can do, in addition to letting them win a little bit more often, is just use some parenting strategies to help build their confidence and their self-esteem. And to go back to what I said at the beginning, supporting them to and accepting whatever feelings they're having is a really good starting way to do that. And if you want more practical strategies, I will link my online self-study course below that's called Raising Confident Kids, that has tons of strategies in it. With younger kids, it can be helpful to play more cooperative games instead of just competitive. And for those of you who may not have heard of those, cooperative games are games in which you are both on the same team. So if you're playing with your child, you are both collaboratively working towards the same goal. So you're not competing against each other, right? Once they're regulated and you've supported them with the big emotions, if they have lost the game, you can also help them learn game strategies for the game and help focus on building their skills, right? But of course, with most games, there's always some chance, right? You might win, you might lose, no matter how skilled you are. So really, it always comes back to empathizing with their feelings, and role modeling can help too. So if you win, you know, maybe not making too big of a deal out of it, but pointing out a strong move they made, or saying good game, or, you know, good game, and give them a high five. And when you lose, also saying, you know, good game, I really had fun. So just role modeling that for them as well. But either way, I find, again, to just say it one more time, the most important thing is to support them with their emotions, accept their emotions, empathize. That really goes a long way to soothing and helping regulate their nervous system when they're having a difficult feeling that feels bigger than they can manage. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks for listening.